Hello everyone, I am Gyan and you are learning Computer Science with Python for class 11th. In this video, we are going to learn about the cloud computing, the concept of cloud computing. Cloud computing. See, you have a computer. In your computer, you have a CPU. Then you have a memory, means RAM and ROM, memory. Then you have input-output units, I/O units. These three are the major building blocks of a computer. And these three are called resources of a computer. Resources of a computer. Whenever a program executes on your computer, that program uses all these three resources. Now the question is what the cloud computing is. When the resources of a computer can be provided through internet, then this phenomenon is called cloud computing. Means maybe these resources are not present on your system. What I mean here is, suppose that your CPU is a low configuration CPU which cannot execute a big program. Therefore, someone on the internet has provided you a high configuration CPU and you can access their CPU by using the internet. So this is an example of the cloud computing. When you don't have enough storage device in your computer, so you are using the Google Drive to store your data on the Google Drive on the internet. This phenomenon is also called the cloud computing. So when these three resources are provided to you through the internet, then such phenomenon is called the cloud computing. Okay. Now what the cloud computing is? So when these resources are provided to you through internet, this this phenomenon is called cloud computing. Cloud computing. So the cloud computing is the internet-based computing, whereby the shared resources, software, and information are provided to computer on demand. So when the software, when the resources, or when the information provided to you through the internet, then this phenomenon is called cloud computing. Here I am just writing about the resources, but the cloud computing is not only about the resources. The cloud computing is also about the softwares. So same is valid if you write software, resources, and information. So when these three things are provided to you through internet, then this phenomenon is called the cloud computing. An example of the cloud computing is Google Drive. You store your data on the Google Drive. This is an example of the cloud computing. Hopefully you have used the Google Drive and you know how the Google Drive works. Here in the word cloud computing, the word cloud represents internet. So the cloud computing is the delivery of computing services from remote location. When you get the computing services from the remote location, when you get the CPU time from the remote location, when you get the storage from the remote location, when you get the execution of a software from the remote location, then such such phenomenon is called cloud computing. So cloud computing services are delivered through internet, through network. So here you have the cloud. Cloud means the internet. Why you say the internet as cloud? Because by using the internet, you actually don't know where physically the service provider resides in the world. That's how you say it as cloud. So what the services a cloud computing can provide you? This is the cloud computing. The cloud computing provides you application. Application. What the application can be provided by the cloud computing? Like say financial application, communication application, content application, and other kinds of stuff. Like Google Drive is also an application. Google Sheets is also an application. The cloud computing can provide application as the service. The cloud computing also can provide a platform, a complete platform as the service. Cloud computing can provide platform as the service. Like cloud computing can provide the runtime. The cloud computing can give you an environment in which you can install your program and execute that. So when the cloud computing provides you an environment to install your own program and execute, so this service of cloud computing is called the platform-based service. The cloud computing can provide database as the platform. The cloud computing can provide identity services as the platform. You may not understand all these services right now because you are very new in the computer science. Okay, but later on you will able to understand everything written here. After that, the cloud computing also can provide infrastructure as service. Infrastructure as service. What comes under the infrastructure is network, means your cloud computing can provide a complete network to you as a service. That means you do not need to buy the physical devices to implement your networking services. You can just purchase a cloud computing service, and that is called infrastructure service. You can just purchase a cloud computing service and can manage that service through your browser, and that's it. You do not need to buy the physical devices. You do not need to maintain the physical devices. You just can purchase from the cloud service provider. So the network is a kind of infrastructure service. Block storage is other kind of infrastructure service, and other infrastructure service is computation resource. So there are various kinds of infrastructure service that your cloud computing can provide, and these services can be managed by you by using your laptop. Okay, these services can be managed by you by using your laptop or even by using your mobile phones. Okay, see, you are managing these bucky things just by using your mobile phone. Is it not great? You can handle them by using your tablets. So instead of purchasing all these things, you can just purchase cloud computing service, and you will get access to all these services on your phones, on your laptops, on your tablets, like that. I do not need to buy a high computing CPU. I just can purchase it from the cloud computing and can handle that CPU just by using my little smartphone. And that's great for me because I do not need to worry about management of all these big hardwares or of all these big softwares. Everything I can purchase online, everything I can purchase through cloud computing. So there are various characteristics of the cloud computing. Characteristics of cloud computing. What are the characteristics of cloud computing? The first characteristic is on-demand self-service. On-demand self-service. See, you can purchase various big stuffs and can manage them just by using your phone without help of any human administrator, and you can access them on demand. Whenever you want to access them, you can access all these resources you have purchased. Either you have purchased a hardware resource through the cloud computing, or you have purchased a software resource through the cloud computing. You can manage them on demand whenever you want without any intervention of human administration. So this is the first big characteristic of the cloud computing. The second one is broad network access. Broad network access. See, these computing services are delivered using normal internet services, okay, and can be accessed through various kinds of devices like laptop, like phones, like tablets. So the type of device you have does not limit you using all the big stuffs provided through the cloud computing. The type of network you have does not stop you by using all these cloud services provided through the cloud computing. And that's why you have broad network access. The third point, the third characteristic of the cloud computing is rapid elasticity. Rapid elasticity. Suppose that you are an IT company To run your IT company, you have purchased some server hardwares, some networking hardwares. Okay? Then you have purchased some softwares to install on your machine. You have purchased some high configuration machine to execute those big softwares. So you were invested a lot in purchasing, you were invested a lot in maintenance. But on a certain day, your business has grown like this. Now you have a set of hardware. But to manage this growth, you need to purchase more hardware, more software, and more high configuration computers. At this time, you may not be ready to purchase and install all those stuffs so rapidly. Okay? But suppose that you have not purchased all these hardwares physically. You have not purchased a software to install on your own machine. Instead, what you have did is you have purchased the same software but installed it on some other machine on the cloud and using that machine for your purpose. You have purchased a server, you have purchased a networking infrastructure on the cloud and using them for your own purpose. Now, if your business has grown, then growing your infrastructure on the cloud is just a one click away. You just have to purchase more resources from the cloud. You just have to pay more on the cloud and everything will be readily available to you. You should not care of the installation. You should not care of the maintenance of all your purchased resources. That's how the cloud computing supports rapid elasticity. Now think this situation in a different scenario. When your business was going very good, you have purchased multiple servers, multiple hardwares, multiple networking devices, multiple softwares physically and installed them in your IT infrastructure. You were maintaining them so that they can keep on working with you. But one day, what happened that your business has fall down. When your business has fall down, then you don't need that much hardware with you. You don't want those hardware right now with you. You want to sell them and then you will purchase it further when your business regrow. But selling them is not an easy task. But instead of buying all those hardwares, all those softwares physically, if you have bought them from a cloud service provider, then this is just a one click to give up all those bought resources. And that's it. So the cloud computing supports this rapid elasticity. Hopefully you are getting my points. The fourth one is resource pooling. Pooling. What do you mean by resource pooling? Suppose that I am a cloud service provider who provides storage service. Means you can store your data on my cloud. Okay, on my machines. So what happens here is I have total 7 2 TB SSDs. I have total 7 2 TB SSDs. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have total 7 2 TB SSDs. All are 2 TB SSDs. So total how much SSDs I have? I have total 14 GB SSDs. Now, I am the cloud service provider. I am a storage provider. Okay, I am not providing all the cloud services. I am just providing the storage service. And I have total of 14 GB hard drives. I want to provide those hard drives to my clients. Now, a client came to me, the client C1 has came to me and told that how many storage you have. I will say I have 14 GB of storage. Then this client may say, give me 500 MB. I will pay you for it every month. Then I will give him 500 MB of storage. Like this, I can support multiple number of clients. I can give multiple number of clients few amount of storage for them. And here the clients are actually resource pooling. They are sharing the resources. They are sharing my hard drives. Similarly, when you open your Google Drive, then Google Drive is not only for you. Yes, your 15 GB is for you. Okay, but everyone has their own 15 GB. So you are sharing the storage capacity of the Google with others. And by using the resource pooling, actually you cut down the cost of storage. Because see, just buying a SSD is not only thing about the storage. You always have to manage that SSD. An SSD or hard disk drive may become corrupt in the future. Then you need to handle all these situations also. Your hardware may go corrupt. So just buying a hardware is not a solution of your storage. Suppose that my 1 TB SSD has corrupt. Then what happens with the C1 is C1 actually never knows that my 2 TB hard disk was corrupted. The C1 has always access to his bought 500 MB, and that's what the service the C1 is getting from me. If the C1 has bought his own 500 MB pen drive, suppose that 500 MB pen drive, and that pen drive somehow becomes corrupt, then all the data of C1 may be in danger. So, as a cloud service provider of storage, I am not only providing an storage to C1, but I am also taking care of his data so that even if my one hard disk or SSD has been corrupted, the data of C1 should not be corrupted. The data of C1 should be readily available to C1 always 24 into 7. Okay? Do you know, even at the Google, their multiple hardware resources keep on corrupting daily. But have you felt anything lagging from the Google? Have you heard from the Google Drive that yes, Mr. XYZ, your data was in my this hard drive, and that hard drive was corrupted now, so your data has gone? No, the Google Drive never says this. So they charge not only for the storage, but they charge also for the maintenance and security of the data. So hopefully you are getting the various benefits of the cloud computing. The other characteristic of cloud computing is measured services. Measured services. That means the cloud computing may keep track of how much services you are utilizing per day. Okay, suppose that you have bought 500 MB, but since last 2 years you have not used more than 100 MB. So your 400 MB may be given to someone else and you don't know about it. Don't worry, you will not feel any lack of space on the Google Drive. Don't worry about that. You will not feel any lack of space. Your data is not going to be unsecured. But at the same time, the same resource may be shared with someone else. And that happens through the measurement that how much services a particular user is using. The common cloud computing examples, the examples of the cloud computing are Google Drive. Google Drive, everyone nowadays uses Google Drive. iCloud, Microsoft Azure, OneDrive, etc. Now tell me, who is the client of cloud computing application? Of course, your laptop is the client of the cloud computing application. Your mobile phone is the client of your cloud computing application. Okay, so a client can be a thick client or can be a thin client. That means a client can be a thick client or can be a thin client. What do you mean by thick client? Is that a thick client is a fully functional computer on each desk. That means suppose that your fully functional laptop is a thick client. It has its own huge hardware, it has its own hard disk, it has its own CPU, it has its own memory. But if the client is not fully functional, means their hardware are not that strong, their processor is very low, their RAM is in very low amount, their disk is in very low amount, then such clients are called thin clients. For example, your phones, your tablets are the thin clients. Thin client means the client having lower functionalities, lower functionalities. And thick client means the clients having higher functionalities, higher functionalities. Okay, so these are the thick client and thin client. Hopefully you got it. Now what the cloud services can be provided through the cloud computing. Let's see them one by one. What the cloud services you can get. Cloud services. What the cloud services you can get. Can you tell me what the services you can get through cloud? You can get a software through cloud like Google Maps. Google Maps is a software and you are getting that Google Maps service through cloud. Okay, that is called software as a service. Software as a service, also called SaaS, the software as a service. Suppose that I am an IT company. I want to purchase a big software for which I may require a big configuration computer to execute. But instead of purchasing that software and to install that software at my location, if the software vendor install it at their own location and tell me to use that software through my low configuration laptop. So this is called software as a service. What I want to say here is that this is the software vendor, and this is me, an IT company. I purchase a software from the software vendor. Okay, I purchase a software, but instead of delivering this software to me, what this software vendor does, the software vendor installs the software on their local machine and say me to use it through my own laptop. Use it through laptop. So this is called software as a service. Okay. Now see, if some problem occurs in this software, then the software developers do not need to come to my site to fix the software. Instead, the software developer can fix them locally because this software is local for them. I just need my laptop to keep on using this software. This is another example of software as a service where you purchase a software, but some softwares are really great and freely available to everyone, like Google Maps. We you use Google Maps on your mobile phone, but that software is actually executing at the Google. It is not executing on your phone. Your phone is just receiving the data of the execution. Of course, while using the Google Maps, your phone have to share the current location with the Google server. But that's what only thing your Google Maps have to do. There are lots of calculation going at the Google side, which your phone does not require to do. So that one is the free software as a service. And here, as you have seen, an example of purchasing the software as a service. Okay. So this is an example of software as a service. Some examples of software as a service are, tell me, Google Apps, Google Apps, like Google Sheets. Okay, Google Sheets is also a software as a service. Google Drive is also software as a service. All the applications of Google are the software as a service. Google Docs. All the applications provided by the Google are the software as the service. Because to use the Google Sheets, you are not going to install the Sheets on your machine. You just open the browser and use the Google Sheet. That's it. The other example of software as a service is Microsoft Office 365. Microsoft Office 365. The other example is Zoho CRM, Customer 360, Customer 360. All are the softwares as a service. If you don't know about these softwares, go to Google and search for them. So that's all about the software as a service. Now let's see the other service provided by the cloud, and that is called platform as the service. Okay, platform as a service. So if you are using the Google Sheets, that is the software as a service. Means you do not need to install the Sheets on your computer in order to use the Google Sheets. Okay, that is already installed there. What you need is just a browser. Use the browser and use all the Google apps, all the applications by the Google. But sometimes you want to install your created application on a platform. If you install that application on your purchased laptop, then your laptop may not have that big configuration, that good configuration to execute that application. Or you may not want to indulge your laptop in execution of an application. In that case, you are searching for a platform just like your laptop to install your created application. Okay, and a cloud service provider provides a platform as a service. That means just like you can use Google Sheets through your browser without installing it in your machine, you can install your application through the browser on someone else's platform. Okay, that means the platform will be provided by the cloud service provider. The platform will be provided by this guy, and you, by using your browser, will install your application on his platform through cloud. This is called platform as a service. So the platform as a service is a development environment, is offered as a service. Okay, like your computer, your operating system is a development environment in which you can install anything. So the platform as a service is also a development environment which is provided through the cloud. Okay, this is not just a software like previous one. It is a complete development environment in which you can install your own software. Okay, see the difference between these two. Platform as a service provides the computing platform, which typically includes a complete operating system, programming language execution environment, database, web servers, and so on. Means this guy, the cloud service provider, may provide you a complete Linux environment so that you can install your Linux application on his environment. So what platform as a service does? It provides complete development environment development environment through cloud. And what software as a service does? It provides just a software interface through the cloud. Okay, you cannot install something. If you open a Google Sheet, you cannot install something else on the Google Sheet. It's just a Google Sheet, nothing else. You cannot install your own thing. But on the platform as a service, you will be provided with a complete environment to install something there. And that is called platform as a service. What you get as a platform as a service is operating system, programming language execution environment, means to give an environment to execute a programming language, database, web server, and so on. One more example of platform as a service is you can purchase a web server and can configure them by yourself. You can purchase a web server and can install their MySQL, can install their other stuffs, can install their WordPress and other stuff. So such services are the platform as a service. Example of the platform as a service: Windows Azure, Google App Engine, Google App Engine, etc. So these are the examples of platform as a service. Now let's see other kind of service provided by the cloud. It's called infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service. Here in the infrastructure as a service gives you complete infrastructure, not only platform. Okay, that means here you can get complete networking resources. You can get a complete server and you can manage that server according to you. You can get a virtual machine disk image library. You can get a complete computing infrastructure. You can get a physical or virtual machines like servers, like firewalls, like load balancers, etc. Okay, so here you get a complete infrastructure, a complete networking infrastructure, a complete machine infrastructure, and other stuff. And again, just like the previous two, the complete infrastructure can be managed just by using your browser on your laptop, on your mobile phone, on your tablets. Isn't this great? that you have bought such a big infrastructure, but you are managing them just on your mobile phone. And that's what the beauty of the cloud services. Some examples of the infrastructure as a service is Amazon EC2, Amazon EC2, Windows Azure, Google Compute Engine, Google Compute Engine, etc. So hopefully you got the difference between various types of cloud services. Now let's see the different types of clouds. These were the different types of cloud services. Now we are going to see the different types of clouds. The first one is called private cloud. Private cloud. What the private cloud is? Suppose that you are an IT company, and to manage your IT infrastructure, you have purchased few resources, either software or platform or infrastructure, any kind of resources from a cloud service provider. So whatever the resources you are going to purchase from this cloud service provider, that will be private to you. And such cloud is called the private cloud. This cloud has been created just for you because you have purchased it. Okay? Since you have purchased it, the IT company has purchased it. That's why these resources, either software or platform or infrastructure, any kind of resource this IT company has purchased are local to this IT company. That's why these resources are the private resources to this IT company. Okay, so this is the private cloud, and these resources are created for this IT company to optimize this IT company's business. Means the cloud service provider is especially taking care of this IT company, and all those resources are arranged in such a way that the work of IT company should be optimized to achieve the maximum. Okay, this is the benefit of having a private cloud. The other type of cloud is the public cloud. Public cloud. Now see, the Google Drive has not been created to optimize a particular person's business. Okay, the Google Drive has not been created to optimize a particular person's business. The Google Maps has not been created to optimize a particular person's business. Okay, the Google Sheets has not been created to optimize a particular person's business. Although you can purchase the special version of these applications that suits to your business, that is a different deal. But the free versions have not been created to optimize a particular person's or a particular company's need. Okay, so such clouds are called the public clouds. Public clouds are created for everyone. Everyone are the client of these public clouds. They are not focusing on optimizing a particular person's business. Okay, so example of the public cloud are all the applications of the Google Drive, Google Sheets, etc. Microsoft Azure, Amazon's free cloud computing services. If someone is giving a free cloud service to everyone, that is called the public cloud service. So hopefully you got the meaning of types of cloud, private cloud and public cloud. So that's all about the cloud computing in your syllabus. We will meet in the next video with blockchain technology concepts.